The military established a perimeter around the crash site within hours. Ellie found herself escorted to a hastily constructed command center half a mile from the wreckage, her ranger uniform now standing out among the sea of military fatigues and hazmat suits. "Ms. Martinez, we need everything you saw before we arrived," said General Harrington, a stern-faced woman with calculating eyes. "Every detail matters now." Ellie described the encounter again, focusing on the alien's strange, resonating voice that seemed to bypass her ears entirely. Scientists huddled in corners, whispering frantically about telepathic communication and neural interfaces. Outside, 3 more Ardulian shuttles descended through the clouds, each taking position around the crash site in a triangular formation. They hovered silently, their hulls shimmering with subtle patterns that seemed to shift when viewed directly. "They're scanning the wreckage," explained Dr. Chen, a physicist recruited from MIT just hours earlier. His equipment displayed cascading data streams from the alien vessels. "Something's wrong, though. Their scans keep bouncing back. It's as if the crashed ship is actively rejecting their attempts to analyze it." Killar requested a private meeting with the human leadership. Inside a sealed tent, the alien's translucent skin rippled with bioluminescent patterns as it explained their civilization's predicament. "Our homeworld exists in a unique stellar configuration," the alien's voice echoed in their minds. 3 suns locked in a complex gravitational dance. For millennia, the navigation core network maintained our planet's artificial orbit, keeping us in the habitable zone. Holographic projections materialized from a device on Kellar's wrist, showing a verdant world with spiraling silver cities suspended between impossibly tall crystal spires. 2 standard cycles ago, a cascading failure began in our network. This vessel was dispatched with a replacement core, but something. The alien paused, its large eyes blinking in sequence rather than together. Something compelled the ship to divert course to your world. General Harrington leaned forward. "Are you suggesting your ship deliberately crashed here, against your instructions?" The alien's skin darkened momentarily. "Our technology sometimes exhibits behaviors we cannot fully explain. The core itself may have detected compatible assistants nearby." "Compatible how?" Ellie asked, speaking up despite the warning glances from military personnel. Killar turned to her. "Your species possesses unusual neurological patterns. Creative problem-solving capabilities our kind developed differently. The cores respond to such patterns." Dr. Chen's monitoring equipment suddenly blared with alerts. Outside, the crashed ship's hull began pulsing with increasing intensity. "The containment field is deteriorating faster than predicted." Kylar's normally melodic voice took on a strained quality. "If the core reaches critical destabilization on your world." Satellite imagery on the command center screens showed the energy signature expanding. Models projected devastating consequences, a 5-mile radius of complete destruction, followed by electromagnetic pulses that would cripple communications across the hemisphere. "How long do we have?" General Harrington demanded. 21 of your days before irreversible cascade. After that, mere hours before detonation." Ellie watched as military strategies and scientific analyses flew across screens, but something about Kylar's explanation nagged at her. The alien's subtle discomfort when discussing how the ship chose Earth, the careful selection of words. Her radio crackled with an incoming message from one of her fellow rangers who had been keeping watch on the mountainside above the crash site. The static-filled transmission contained only 5 words before cutting out. "The ship is waking up." The United Nations emergency session descended into chaos as the Chinese ambassador slammed his fist on the table. "These monitoring devices were deployed without consent. How can we trust beings who surveil us while claiming to need our help?" Killar's tall form remained unnervingly still at the center of the chamber, a precautionary measure only. "We needed to understand your species' immediate response patterns." "You mean our military capabilities?" the Russian representative countered. Dr. Patel studied the holographic medical technology the Ardulians had offered. Their cancer treatment alone would save millions of lives annually. Yet something about the aliens' carefully measured responses troubled her. "These monitoring devices," she interrupted, stepping forward with her tablet displaying orbital tracking data. "They're positioned above major fault lines and tectonic boundaries, not population centers." A ripple of murmurs spread through the assembly. Kylar's skin flickered with rapid color changes, the equivalent of a human's nervous swallow. "We monitor geological stability as standard procedure on any planetary body," the alien explained. "The core's energy signature interacts with planetary magnetic fields." Dr. Patel magnified her display, highlighting energy emissions from the devices. "These readings suggest they're not just passive monitors. They're actively scanning deep into the crust." Before Kylar could respond, an aide rushed information to the Secretary General. His face paled as he read the report. "We've just recorded a 5.2 magnitude earthquake near the crash site. Geological survey confirms it's directly beneath the fallen vessel." All eyes turned to Kylar, whose translucent fingers tapped a sequence on a wrist device. The alien's normally melodic voice took on a sharper edge. "The core's deterioration accelerates. It seeks stability through resonance with your planet's magnetic field." "You didn't mention earthquakes as a side effect," Dr. Patel challenged. "Because they are not side effects," Kylar admitted. "They are attempts at self-preservation. The core is sentient in limited ways. It seeks compatible energy sources." Stunned silence filled the chamber. The Secretary General finally broke it. "You're saying this technology is alive?" "Not alive as you understand it." Kylar's skin rippled with complex patterns. "But adaptive. Self-preserving. The Shapers." The alien stopped abruptly. "The who?" pressed the American ambassador. "Those whose knowledge we maintain," Kylar answered carefully. "Our history is irrelevant to the current crisis." Dr. Patel's tablet chimed with an incoming transmission from the research team at the crash site. The radiation signature had changed, developing harmonic patterns that matched Earth's geomagnetic field. "It's not just deteriorating," she announced, her voice steady despite the implications. "It's adapting to Earth, integrating." The Security Council erupted into heated debate. Meanwhile, satellite imagery revealed the Ardulian monitoring devices had simultaneously activated, sending focused energy beams toward the crashed vessel. "Stabilization attempt," Kylar explained hurriedly. "Standard protocol." But Dr. Patel noticed the alien's hand trembling, the first sign of genuine fear she'd seen from the composed ambassador. "We need a decision now," the Secretary General demanded. "Do we help them extract this core, or demand they leave our planet immediately?" As if in response, every electronic device in the chamber flickered simultaneously. For 3 seconds, the same mathematical sequence appeared on every screen. The countdown Dr. Patel had identified. The message was clear. Time was running out, and Earth had become part of an equation none of them fully understood. Commander Reed observed his team during their first training session with the Ardulian tools. Dr. Patel approached them methodically, studying each device before attempting to activate it. Lai Wei intuitively grasped their mechanical functions, his fingers dancing across unfamiliar interfaces. Sergei remained cautious, documenting every reaction. Aide took each tool apart when possible, reassembling them with subtle improvements. "The devices respond differently to each of you," noted Kylar, watching from the observation deck. "Fascinating." Reed detected something in the alien's tone, almost like scientific curiosity rather than diplomatic concern. He filed away the observation and focused on Ellie, who stood apart from the others. "Something troubling you, Martinez?" he asked, approaching the Ranger. "The ship's flight path," she replied quietly. "I've worked search and rescue for 8 years. Crash trajectories follow predictable patterns. This one..." She pulled up a tablet showing the vessel's descent. It maneuvered to avoid populated areas, then slowed before impact. Before Reed could respond, the facility lights flickered. Backup generators engaged automatically, but the Ardulian technology went dormant. "Power fluctuation in Sector 4, announced the facility AI. Rerouting systems. The Ardulian assistants exchanged alarmed glances, their skin patterns pulsing rapidly. One hurried toward the communications array, while another began packing up sensitive equipment. "What's happening?" Reed demanded. "Merely a technical issue," Kyler assured him unconvincingly. "Your power infrastructure is primitive by our standards." Aide was already at the generator panel, hands moving confidently among the wires. "Not a normal surge pattern," he muttered. Something drew a massive power spike exactly 3.7 seconds before the failure. The Nigerian engineer improvised a bypass using components from his personal toolkit and a piece of the Ardulian training equipment. The light stabilized as the aliens watched with undisguised interest. "You altered our device," Kyler observed, approaching Aide's jury-rigged solution. "Repurposed it," Aide corrected. "Your power regulation uses quantum tunneling principles, but it's inefficient for direct current applications. This modification creates a better interface with our systems." Reed noticed the aliens exchanging glances with subtle skin color shifts, their version of whispered conversation. Later that evening, Reed found Dr. Patel analyzing data in her temporary lab. "The power failure wasn't random," she said without looking up. "Every 12 hours, there's a momentary energy surge from the crash site. The core is pulsing. Like a heartbeat." Reed asked. "More like a beacon," she corrected, showing him waveform patterns. "And look at this." She overlaid the pulse pattern with brain activity recordings from each team member. The frequency matches human neural patterns during creative problem-solving. Specifically, Ellie's patterns when she first discovered the ship. Reed processed this information carefully. "You're suggesting the core is somehow communicating." "Or searching," Patel theorized. "The Ardulians aren't telling us everything about their relationship with this technology. I suspect they're more caretakers than creators." Their conversation halted as the facility's perimeter alarm activated. Security feeds showed unusual movement in the forest surrounding the compound. Animals fleeing in coordinated patterns away from the crash site. Moments later, the ground trembled with another localized earthquake. This one stronger than before. "It's escalating," Patel whispered. "Whatever connection is forming between the core and Earth, it's getting stronger." Outside their window, the night sky briefly shimmered with aurora-like patterns directly above the crash site. Beautiful, alien, and entirely unexpected this far south. "Commander," Ellie's voice came through on the comm system. "You need to see this. The ship's hull. It's changing." Dr. Patel hunched over her makeshift laboratory bench, surrounded by equipment both human and Ardulian. The scanning data confirmed her suspicions. The core contained structures that resembled neural pathways, organic components interwoven with crystalline lattices of unknown composition. "It's not just technology," she murmured to herself. "It's a hybrid life form." A soft chime from her custom scanner alerted her to a new development. The core's internal activity had increased by 30% since her last reading. The organic components were growing, adapting to Earth's electromagnetic field. Reed entered the lab, his expression grim. The Pentagon just called. Chinese satellites detected unusual radiation signatures from the Ardulian mothership. "They're powering up something big." "Weapons?" Patil asked, looking up from her work. "Unknown, but their diplomatic tone has shifted. They're getting impatient." The door slid open as Kilar entered without announcement, flanked by two taller Ardulians whose skin patterns suggested higher rank. The leader's iridescent scales shifted to deeper blues, a sign of agitation they'd learned to recognize. "We detected unauthorized scans of the core," the alien stated flatly. "Your instruments risked destabilizing delicate components." Patil stood her ground. "My scans are passive, not invasive, and they've revealed something interesting. The core is as much biological as technological." The aliens exchanged rapid color-shifting communications among themselves. "You've hidden the truth," Reed accused. "This isn't just a navigation system, is it?" After a tense silence, Kellar's superior gestured permission to speak. The ambassador's voice resonated with a new harmonic, one they'd come to associate with reluctant truth. The Shapers created this technology epochs before our civilization achieved spaceflight, Kellar explained. We discovered their abandoned outposts, learned to maintain their systems. But creating new cores or fully understanding their principles remains beyond us. You're caretakers, not creators, Patel concluded, echoing her earlier suspicion. Yes, Kellar admitted. The Shapers encoded their knowledge into self-evolving systems. We've preserved their legacy, but cannot replicate their genius. Your species' neural patterns show surprising compatibility with Shaper interfaces. Outside the lab windows, the forest canopy rustled as flocks of birds suddenly took flight. Seconds later, another tremor shook the facility, stronger than previous ones. Lai Wei burst into the room, tablet in hand. The ship's outer hull is metamorphosing. Metal components are rearranging at the molecular level. Security feeds showed the crashed vessel's surface flowing like liquid mercury in specific patterns, forming new structures that resembled antenna arrays oriented toward the sky. It's establishing a stronger connection with the mothership, Sergei suggested, joining them. No, Kellar corrected, skin paling to a translucent white. It's bypassing our controls entirely. The alien commander barked orders in their native language, causing the subordinates to rush from the room. Kellar remained, visibly conflicted. What aren't you telling us? Reed demanded. The core technologies have always exhibited semi-autonomous behaviors, Kellar admitted. But this level of independent action is unprecedented. It's as if. As if what? Patel pressed. As if it's found what it's been searching for, the alien finished quietly. Reed's communication device chimed with an emergency alert. Ellie's voice came through, breathless with urgency. Commander, you need to see this. The ship just opened a new compartment. There's some kind of message being projected, in English. The extraction team braced against howling winds as they approached the ship's newly exposed access point. Rain lashed sideways, visibility reduced to mere feet despite their advanced gear. The storm had intensified with unnatural speed, forming a localized supercell directly above the crash site. Weather satellites show impossible barometric readings, Lai Wei shouted over the comm system. The storm is being generated by the ship itself. Inside the vessel's newly accessible chamber, Ellie and Reed found walls covered in luminous symbols that shifted and rearranged continuously. At the center floated a holographic display of Earth, surrounded by mathematical equations that rewrote themselves faster than human eyes could follow. It's calculating something, Dr. Patel observed, her scanner capturing data streams. Planetary mass, core composition, magnetic field variations. A blinding flash of lightning struck the ship directly. Instead of causing damage, the electrical discharge was absorbed seamlessly into the hull. The interior lights pulsed brighter, and the holographic Earth began rotating faster. It's using the storm's energy, Aide realized, converting lightning into usable power. Sergei completed his analysis of the ship's structural changes. The reconfigured outer hull now forms a perfect conductor. It's harvesting atmospheric electricity with remarkable efficiency. Another section of wall dissolved before their eyes, revealing a corridor that hadn't existed during their previous mapping of the vessel. The team exchanged uncertain glances before proceeding. It's reconfiguring its internal architecture, Patel whispered, growing new pathways. The corridor led them deeper than any previous expedition had reached. At its end, they discovered what appeared to be the ship's original command center, a circular chamber with control interfaces arranged around a central pillar of swirling light. As they entered, the ship's systems responded immediately. Displays activated, showing star charts and navigation routes spanning thousands of light years. One path was highlighted prominently, a journey from a distant star system directly to Earth. This wasn't an accident, Reed confirmed, studying the navigation log. Earth was always the destination. Outside the ship, Kellar paced anxiously as the Ardulian engineers attempted to establish contact with their increasingly unresponsive technology. The alien skin shifted through patterns of distress visible, even through the storm's fury. "The core is rejecting our communication attempts," the alien admitted when 8 emerged to report their findings. "It has never done this before." "Maybe it's not rejecting you," Aid suggested. "Maybe it's focusing on something else entirely." A particularly violent tremor shook the ground. Fault lines appeared in the earth around the ship, forming concentric circles like ripples in a pond. The storm intensified further, with cloud formations taking on geometric patterns that defied natural weather physics. Inside the command center, Ellie discovered what appeared to be a manual interface, a depression in the console shaped remarkably like a human hand. Without consulting the others, she placed her palm against it. The effect was immediate. The ship's humming changed pitch, the vibrations synchronizing with her heartbeat. The storm outside abruptly calmed, though lightning continued to arc between clouds in regular, purposeful patterns. "Ellie, what did you do?" Reed demanded. Before she could answer, the central pillar of light expanded, resolving into a humanoid figure composed of swirling energy. When it spoke, its voice carried the harmonic resonance of the Ardulians, but with an underlying structure that felt distinctly different, older, vaster. "Compatibility confirmed," it announced. "Genetic template accepted." Initialization sequence commencing. The energy being hovered before them, its form shifting between humanoid and more abstract geometries. Threads of light extended from its core, connecting to various ship systems, and to Ellie herself, who stood transfixed, her hand still pressed against the interface. "Release her," Reed demanded, moving forward only to be stopped by an invisible barrier. "No harm is occurring," the entity responded, its voice resonating from multiple points around the chamber simultaneously. "Information exchange proceeds optimally." Dr. Patel scanned the energy patterns with her modified equipment. "Incredible. It's creating the neural interface directly with her brain." The patterns matched those of the core itself. The central chamber walls dissolved, revealing the true heart of the ship. The quantum core suspended within interlocking rings of unknown material. Unlike their initial glimpses from outside, they could now see the core in its entirety. A swirling, translucent sphere containing galaxies of light points, pulsing in perfect rhythm with Ellie's heartbeat. "The containment equipment we designed is completely inadequate," Aid whispered, awed by the complexity before them. "This isn't just a navigation system. It's a compressed universe." Sergei studied the defensive systems now visible throughout the chamber. "These aren't just safeguards against accidents," he told Reed quietly. "They're designed to prevent unauthorized removal, like security on a vault." The energy being seemed to notice their observations. Correct assessment. "This vessel's primary function: preserve seed core integrity until compatible species located. Secondary function: prevent misuse by non-compatible species." "Non-compatible species like the Ardulians?" Reed asked. "Ardulian genetic structure. Insufficient neural complexity for complete interface," the entity confirmed. "Attempted forced synchronization. Failed outcomes in all instances." Dr. Patel moved closer to Ellie, monitoring her vital signs. "She's stable, but her neural activity is off the charts." "What exactly are you doing to her?" "Template acquisition," the being explained. "Your species demonstrates required attributes: adaptive problem solving, creative recombination of concepts, cooperative social structures. Ellie Martinez possesses optimal neural plasticity for initial interface." Outside the ship, the Ardulians detected the core's activation sequence. Kylar's superior ordered immediate intervention, deploying devices around the vessel's perimeter that began generating interfering energy fields. Inside, the effect was immediate. The core's brilliant light flickered, and Ellie gasped in pain. Ardulian containment protocols detected, the energy being announced, its form becoming less stable. Countermeasures insufficient to maintain optimal connection. Aid examined the interlocking rings surrounding the core, recognizing principles similar to his grandfather's cooling techniques. "These rings aren't just holding it," he explained quickly. "They're channeling energy, stabilizing the quantum fluctuations. If we modify our containment unit," Dr. Patel suggested, "we could create a buffer between the core and the Ardulian interference." She quickly adapted their equipment, incorporating elements from both human and Ardulian technology. The core responds to genetic markers, she realized. A DNA sample might help stabilize the connection. Without hesitation, she pressed her palm against a sampling port, wincing as it drew blood. The modified containment field glowed as it incorporated her genetic material, creating a resonance pattern that matched human brainwave frequencies. The core stabilized, its light strengthening. The energy being solidified once more, its form now more distinctly humanoid. "Partial stability achieved," it announced. "Proceeding with critical data transfer, you must understand the truth about the Shapers and their legacy before the Ardulians intervene." The chamber filled with three-dimensional images, a historical record beginning to unfold around them. The first image showed peaceful beings of light constructing vast technological marvels, followed by the arrival of early Ardulians. The Situation Room at the joint facility buzzed with tension. Military commanders from 5 nations surrounded the conference table while scientists analyzed real-time data from the crash site. Dr. Patel stood at the center, still pale from her neural connection experience, but speaking with newfound conviction. "The images I received weren't just history," she explained, manipulating the holographic display to show fragments of the vision. "They were warnings. The Shapers created self-evolving technology meant to find worthy successors. The Ardulians discovered their outposts and attempted to claim the technology by force." The display showed elegantly designed Shaper vessels pursued by primitive Ardulian crafts, followed by scenes of conflict. "The Shapers didn't resist," Patel continued. "They simply left. But they programmed their technology to seek species with both the intellectual capacity and ethical development to use it responsibly." General Harrington frowned. "And this technology believes that's us. Humanity. It's not just belief," Patel replied. "The core contains extensive data on human history. It's been watching us for centuries, evaluating our development patterns." On the main screen, satellite imagery showed the Ardulian mothership descending to low Earth orbit, ignoring warnings from military installations worldwide. 3 smaller vessels had already detached, heading directly for the crash site. "They're coming for the core," Reed stated flatly. "Their homeworld situation must be more desperate than they admitted." Kilar entered the room flanked by senior Ardulian officials. Their normally fluid movements appeared stiff, their skin patterns pulsing with irregular rhythms that suggested extreme stress. "Our Supreme Coordinator demands immediate transfer of the core," the lead Ardulian announced without preamble. "Further delay cannot be tolerated. Your weapons technology depends on the same systems you barely understand," Lai Wai pointed out, displaying his analysis of their ship's energy signatures. "You can't risk damaging the core any more than we can." The Ardulian diplomat's skin darkened. "Our civilization faces extinction. Without the core network, our artificial planetary orbit will degrade beyond recovery within 17 of your days. Millions will perish." "Yet you never told us the complete truth," Reed countered. "The core isn't just maintaining your orbit. It's maintaining your entire technological infrastructure. Infrastructure you appropriated but never fully mastered." Tension crackled in the air as human and alien representatives faced off across the table. Outside, thunder rumbled as another unnatural storm formed above the facility. "We propose a third option," Reed finally said, breaking the silence. "We help stabilize and repair the core, but as equal partners in an open knowledge exchange. No more secrets, no more half-truths." "Impossible," the lead Ardulian dismissed. "Your species lacks the developmental maturity to—" "To what?" Patel interrupted. "To be trusted with technology you yourselves don't fully understand. The core has already chosen humans as compatible. It's communicating directly with us in ways it never did with your kind. The Ardulian delegation conferred in their native language, their skin patterns shifting rapidly through colors humans had never seen them display before. Meanwhile, Aid and Sergei quietly briefed Reed on their completed analysis of Ardulian defensive capabilities. Their weapons use simplified applications of Shaper technology, Aid explained. But they're limited by the Ardulians' literal interpretation of the principles involved. A tremor shook the building as the core's energy signature spiked again. On all screens, the same mathematical sequence appeared, but now decipherable through Dr. Patel's connection. A countdown to irreversible integration with Earth's geomagnetic field. The lead Ardulian turned back to the humans, posture reflecting defeat. "We accept your proposal, not by choice, but by necessity." From the crashed ship, a blinding pillar of light suddenly erupted skyward, connecting with the approaching Ardulian vessels. Within this beam, complex data patterns flowed visibly in both directions. "What's happening?" General Harrington demanded. "The core is making its own arrangements," Dr. Patel whispered. "It's negotiating directly with their systems." 6 months transformed the Montana forest clearing into a thriving research complex. Crystal spires rose alongside conventional human architecture, creating a harmonious blend of technologies that mirrored the growing cooperation between species. Dr. Patel led a team through the central research dome, where the quantum core now resided in a stable containment system of human design. Through transparent walls, visitors could observe the swirling energy of the core as it interfaced with both human and Ardulian researchers. "The neural interface has evolved beyond our initial expectations," she explained to a delegation of UN officials. "It adapts to individual users, creating customized connections based on thought patterns." A group of school children pressed their faces against the observation glass, watching in wonder as the core projected interactive educational displays around them. One girl's casual question about distant stars triggered a breathtaking three-dimensional map of a previously uncharted sector. "It responds most strongly to curiosity and creativity," Patel noted with a smile. "Qualities abundant in children and scientists alike." Outside, Ellie and Commander Reed walked with Kilar along a path where Montana wildflowers grew alongside alien botanical specimens. The Ardulians' demeanor had changed dramatically over the months. More open, less guarded. "Our homeworld stabilized once the core network reactivated," Kilar shared. "But the real transformation has been in our society. For generations, we maintained technology we couldn't fully comprehend. Now, working alongside humans, we're finally beginning to understand. Turns out we needed each other," Reed observed. "Your historical knowledge and our fresh perspective." A soft chime sounded throughout the complex, the signal that another vessel had entered the solar system. On the central plaza's display, a new ship appeared in lunar orbit, its design unlike either human or Ardulian craft. "The 5th arrival this month," Ellie noted. "The signal is spreading faster than expected." The quantum network established by the core had begun transmitting coordinates to other Shaper vessels scattered across the galaxy. Each contained cores with different specializations: medical technology, environmental engineering, stellar navigation, and each had found its way to compatible species. Now those species were finding their way to Earth. In the communications center, Lai Wei and Aid coordinated with representatives from 11 different worlds, organizing the first formal gathering of what media had dubbed the Shaper Inheritors. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Earth, previously isolated and unaware of galactic civilization, had become its unexpected nexus. As twilight fell, the core's energy briefly intensified, projecting a vast star map across the evening sky. Glowing pathways connected thousands of worlds, with Earth glowing at the center of the network. Ellie found Killer standing alone, gazing upward at the celestial display. "Your species has adapted to the inheritance faster than we ever could," the alien acknowledged. "In 6 months, you've developed applications we couldn't conceptualize in centuries." "It's not about intelligence," Ellie replied. "It's about approach. You try to maintain the technology exactly as you found it. We can't help tinkering, improving, combining ideas in new ways. Reed joined them, carrying the data tablet showing schematics for a new vessel, one that combined Ardulian stability with human innovation and Shaper principles. The prototype launches next week, he said. First joint mission to the nearest Shaper outpost. As night deepened, the core's projection shifted to show new trajectories, pathways extending beyond known space. The message was unmistakable, an invitation to explore. They never disappeared, Kylor realized suddenly. The Shapers, they evolved beyond physical form. The cores aren't just their legacy. They're fragments of their consciousness, waiting for species ready to carry their knowledge forward. Above them, stars twinkled like possibilities in the vast cosmic ocean. Humanity's great journey was just beginning, not alone, but as part of a tapestry of civilizations linked by ancient wisdom and newfound purpose.